I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
Calling me now. And that's the problem that I have with this whole situation. But I am going to save this conversation for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, you're watching. I know you're watching because you got people calling me. Stop having people call me. You can call me yourself. You know how to get my number. You know you got people calling me. Call me yourself, because this right here is going to go viral. The way my job works on the internet, everybody's going to be clipping and sharing on TikTok. Watch this.
Prince's final post online wasn't just a warning, it was a death sentence written in plain sight. The people he was calling out, they saw it coming and they made sure he wouldn't live long enough to expose them. Before his shocking 2016 tragedy, Prince had uncovered something deep. A trail of shady manipulation running straight into the empire of Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Those close to him claim he was getting ready to go public with proof that the power couple's business web, led by the streaming giant Tidal, was allegedly built on fake deals, hidden payoffs, and contracts so twisted they'd keep artists trapped even after death. Just 6 days after posting that eerie message saying his fans weren't safe, the man who fought harder than anyone for musicians' rights was suddenly gone. And now, years later, the truth is catching up. In July 2024, the Prince estate dropped bombshell court filings accusing Tidal and Roc Nation of forging and backdating documents to snatch ownership of more than 500 of Prince's songs. What's described in those papers isn't just a business dispute. It's being called a criminal setup, a full-blown plot to steal his legacy while the world was still mourning. The wildest part? Prince once stood behind Tidal. Back in 2015, he publicly praised Jay-Z's platform for honoring real musicians and giving them control over their art. But now, that loyalty looks like betrayal, because the same company he believed in might have turned around and claimed his life's work for themselves.
Of the business, as far as being a black man that was rich in this business at 18 years old, had already did his first $1 million contract, had already broken records, was determined that he didn't want to be like anybody else, was so great of a guitar player that black people just stopped caring about guitar, and he got left out on a limb and somehow still had to create his way out of that.
Prince truly believed Jay-Z was standing shoulder to shoulder with him, fighting the same battle he started back in the 90s when he painted the word slave across his face to protest the record labels that owned his art. But insiders are now saying that loyalty was flipped on him, that trust was turned into a weapon. At the center of this whole mess is one key piece of paper, a mysterious document called the Equity Term Sheet. Tidal claims this gave them permanent control over hundreds of Prince's recordings. But here's the twist. Prince's own rep at the time, Phaedra Ellis-Lampkins, told investigators that her talks with Tidal didn't line up with the so-called agreement the company showed in court. According to the estate's lawyers, that contract wasn't real at all. They say it was fabricated and backdated to July 2015, months before Prince's death, just to make it look official. If that's true, it's game over, because the whole foundation of Tidal's claim to Prince's music falls apart. And that leaves one haunting question hanging in the air. If Prince didn't sign those papers, then who did?
And it was pretty much said like, Jay doesn't really want awards. Well, he go to the Grammys.
Right.
He you know, come into the black-owned spaces. Let's figure out how to work together so that way we have the relationship when it matters, not when it's convenient for you and your image. Because they all call us when the story...
What's behind that mystery looks like more than just business drama. It smells like a cover-up. Something designed to lock down a billion-dollar catalog no matter the cost. After Prince's passing in April 2016, Tidal started streaming his entire collection, from classic hits to songs that were never meant to be released. But according to legal filings from NPG Records, none of it had official approval. The documents claim Tidal moved fast, uploading everything and betting that the estate would be too lost in chaos to fight back. And that gamble worked. For a while, Prince's music kept spinning on Tidal, pulling in millions while his family couldn't even log into his accounts. Then Jay-Z fired back publicly in 2017 with his track Caught Their Eyes from the album 444, throwing shade and trying to flip the narrative. But to many, it only raised more eyebrows and more questions. Jay-Z never mentioned the lawsuit by name, but the message in his lyrics was crystal clear.
None other than Timbaland. Tim.
Hey, bro.
What's up, bro?
I'm blessed.
How you doing?
I'm blessed.
You know what, bro? When you come on the show and I have someone as distinguished as yourself, I got to toast your career
Yes.
and more things to come. Appreciate you.
He painted himself as Prince's confidant, claiming they spoke eye to eye, and that he alone understood what Prince really wanted. It came off like a tribute, but to Prince's estate, it sounded more like damage control, a slick attempt to rewrite the story before the truth caught up. The same court filings Jay-Z brushed off as greed actually exposed major inconsistencies between the alleged title deal and every verified record of Prince's real communications. And the timing? Wild. Dropping those lyrics right after the estate filed suit made it feel less like respect and more like a taunt. At the center of the firestorm stood Lawndale McMillan, Prince's longtime lawyer and the man Jay-Z once accused of seeing green through purple eyes. McMillan, who also represented several of Prince's siblings, didn't hold back. He reminded the world that he was the one who helped Prince move past that iconic slave protest on his face years ago.
This is what I look for. When I see a success, I'm looking for anything
to say that they didn't do it on their own?
it. Yeah, detain it. Not this.
He made it clear that Jay-Z's companies weren't protecting Prince's legacy. They were trying to control it. McMillan's version matches what the estate has been saying all along. There was never a binding deal giving Tidal full rights. It was just a short-term streaming arrangement for one album, nothing more. But behind all these public statements and lawsuits, there's something even darker whispering through the cracks. Friends close to Prince say that in early 2016, he confided in them about powerful figures who lured artists with promises of creative freedom, only to trap them in brutal, never-ending contracts. He even spoke of private gatherings where young musicians were pressured to sign away their publishing rights or prove loyalty in ways that made him deeply uneasy. Prince had dropped hints about certain names, powerful ones, and warned that they were tied to the same inner circle pulling strings behind Tidal. Whether anyone can ever prove it or not, those claims throw a whole new spotlight on the strange secrecy that surrounded his last months. And now, with the July 2024 lawsuit back in motion, all those old suspicions are roaring back to life. Among the files subpoenaed by the estate are internal messages between Tidal execs, Rock Nation lawyers, and Fedra Ellis Lampkins. Communications that the defendants are flat out refusing to hand over. Their excuse? A common interest doctrine.
How do you know I'm not a gangster or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the industry's filled with gangsters.
But here's the thing. Legal experts say that term usually applies to people sharing the same legal defense, not a business contract. That detail alone has people whispering that those hidden messages could be the missing puzzle piece. Proof of a coordinated effort across companies to forge Prince's signature and claim his catalog. The estate insists those secret communications are the smoking gun, the evidence that could finally blow this whole case wide open. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's side keeps pushing a different story, saying Prince wanted his music to stay on Tidal. But insiders aren't buying it. Several people close to Prince say he started changing his mind late in 2015, after realizing Tidal had already uploaded songs that went way beyond the one album they agreed on. Those same insiders say Prince felt deeply betrayed, like he was boxed in by the very people he thought were his allies. He was reportedly gearing up to take legal action when he dropped that chilling message on April 15th, 2016, just when you thought you were safe. And 6 days later, the unthinkable happened. News broke from Minneapolis that Prince had been found inside an elevator at Paisley Park. Officials called it an accidental overdose on prescribed medication, but the people who really knew him couldn't accept that so easily. They remembered how just days before, Prince had upgraded his security system, added new cameras, and fired key staff members. Something had clearly shaken him. And whatever it was, it might have been closing in fast.
And I have to still say allegedly, has done things and allegedly participated in a lot of things that the public would not be happy to know.
Prince had started to suspect that people close to him were leaking private information, and he didn't hide his fear. He even told friends that the elevator inside Paisley Park symbolized something dark, a force of evil that lived inside the music industry itself. So when Jay-Z later dropped the lyric, "We're never going to let the elevator take him down," some listeners couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't just paying tribute. It sounded like he knew exactly what Prince had been talking about. Since then, things have only gotten messier. The Prince estate's filings claim that Tidal kept making money off his catalog even after being told to take it down. And now, new whistleblowers have stepped up, describing how Tidal's own accounting allegedly hid unpaid royalties, not just from Prince, but from other artists too. That's a bold accusation, and it fits right in with what Prince had been warning everyone about for years. He said it again and again. Streaming platforms weren't the saviors they claimed to be. They were just the new gatekeepers dressed up in digital clothes. The illusion of artist ownership, he said, was just another way to keep control in the same old hands. And now, that warning is echoing louder than ever. What's wild is how perfectly this whole fight mirrors the bigger war inside music itself.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious.
Jay-Z, once seen as the symbol of independence, the guy who beat the system, is now being painted in court as the very kind of mogul Prince fought against his whole life. The irony cuts deep. A man who built his empire selling the dream of creative freedom is now accused of forging deals to snatch another artist's masters. And the biggest mystery still hangs in the air. Why was it all worth hiding? What could be in those missing documents that's too dangerous to show the world? Insiders tied to the estate claim the answer to that question could shatter the image of more than one music legend. Behind all the headlines, insiders say the motive runs much deeper, straight to the vault. Prince's legendary vault, rumored to hold thousands of unreleased songs, could be worth billions. And whoever controls it controls the future of his sound. For Jay-Z and Beyoncé, whose empire leans heavily on streaming and publishing, that catalog could make Tidal powerful again at a time when its market share is fading fast. Losing it wouldn't just sting, it'd be a massive financial hit. But this mystery goes way beyond contracts and courtrooms. When you look closer at the timeline, the pattern starts to look chilling. In his final weeks, Prince's digital trail showed signs of growing fear. His messages got cryptic, his movements tighter, and he began canceling appearances without explanation. Friends say he spoke in riddles about energy vampires and battles too dangerous to name. Whatever he was facing, it was real enough to shake him to his core. He knew something was closing in. You can feel it in his words. Whether that fear came from genuine danger or calculated manipulation, no one can say for sure. But one thing's certain, Prince's final warning wasn't just poetic talk. It was proof that he had uncovered something he was never supposed to reveal. And now, as the 2024 court filings keep pulling up buried evidence, internal memos, delayed money transfers, unsigned contracts with Tidal's top brass, the story looks way bigger than a music rights dispute. What's taking shape isn't just a battle over songs. It's a fight over control, of legacies, of influence, of truth itself. Prince's last message wasn't aimed at one company or one artist. It was a final alarm about what happens when true creative freedom threatens an empire built on ownership.
You see, I think I sent you that thing with Jazz. Jazz went in when they was going at it, of Bo and Jay. But you look at the Jazz now, it's like he's on eggshells now. Like something happened. Like this can stop your career or whatever you're doing. This is what I try to tell dudes, yo, whatever God got for you, I don't give a damn billionaire, whoever, this, that, and the third. You can't stop it.
And when you connect all those dots, from that haunting post to the tragedy inside Paisley Park, one question still echoes louder than ever. Who really silenced Prince? Was Prince's silence the price he paid for uncovering too much? Or was it the start of a reckoning that's still unfolding? His death didn't just take away his voice. It wiped out evidence and conveniently protected the very people who stood to gain the most, the same ones he had reportedly been digging into during his final weeks. After the tragedy, Jay-Z's legal team pulled a slick move. They invoked what's called the common interest doctrine. On paper, it sounded harmless, just another legal formality. But behind the scenes, it worked like a fortress, a shield built to block investigators from accessing internal emails between Tidal, Rock Nation, and Prince's former representative, Phaedra Ellis Lampkins. That wall of secrecy made sure no one outside their circle could see what was really going on. And it worked flawlessly. The emails that could have exposed the truth, the very messages that might have shown who forged those contracts, vanished into a labyrinth of confidentiality claims. To this day, not a single outsider has been allowed to read them. The doctrine was originally meant to protect co-defendants working together on a shared legal defense, but here, it turned into something way more sinister. Industry insiders say those hidden emails could have revealed who actually wrote the so-called equity term sheet, the smoking gun document at the heart of the forgery scandal. Without access to that evidence, the Prince estate was left fighting half-blind, forced to rely on circumstantial proof while Jay-Z's lawyers kept repeating the same line, that everything was authorized by Prince himself. But with all those missing messages and legal smokescreens, how can anyone really know what Prince authorized and what was planted in his name?
It's not just karma, that's just the forces of nature or how things work. You ruin people's lives, you do harmful things, and who's to say that he might ever pay that price? Who's to say he even done anything wrong to anybody else in his eyes? To me, that's not even the same person. That's someone else. It's not the Sean, the Jay I grew up.
The deeper this story goes, the more it feels like his silence wasn't natural at all. It was engineered. It was the perfect game plan. Delay, deny, and drown the truth in paperwork. Every move seemed designed to stretch time until public attention moved on. But not everyone was willing to play quiet, especially Londell McMillan. As Prince's longtime attorney and one of the few people who knew exactly what he'd signed before his death, McMillan became a key voice in the fight for justice. He also became a target. Jay-Z took direct aim at him in the track Caught Their Eyes, painting him as greedy and bitter. But McMillan wasn't having it. In fiery interviews with Billboard and other outlets, he clapped back hard, calling Jay-Z's story a lie. He reminded the world that he was the one who helped Prince escape the chains of the old record label system, the very fight Tidal once claimed to be built on. To many watching, Jay-Z's move wasn't just personal, it was strategic. If they could tear down McMillan's credibility, they could crush the message before it ever hit the courtroom. And sure enough, McMillan's warnings started coming true. By late 2017, the Prince Estate's legal team announced they had recovered internal emails that could finally prove the Tidal contracts were backdated. That discovery was supposed to change everything. But then, out of nowhere, disaster struck. Just days before those files were scheduled for review by court-appointed experts, the estate's servers were hacked. The breach wiped years of crucial correspondence, including the attachments containing those explosive emails. Investigators never found out who was behind it, but the timing was impossible to ignore. The attack happened the exact same week Rock Nation's lawyers filed motions to block any further document requests. One insider who worked close to the case summed it up in one chilling phrase: digital sabotage disguised as coincidence. Whatever those lost emails contained, someone clearly didn't want them seeing daylight. And once again, the truth slipped through the cracks, buried under legal motions, erased files, and a system built to protect power over proof. And it didn't stop there, not even close. In the years that followed, the shockwaves spread far beyond Prince's circle. Other artist estates, smaller, quieter ones without his global reach, started finding the same kind of shady patterns hiding in their paperwork. Former reps for old school soul and R&B acts came forward, revealing that they'd uncovered duplicate contracts in their archives, documents that looked almost identical to the disputed Tidal agreements. Same formatting, same phrasing, and in many cases, even the same strange signature marks. Some signatures didn't match the artist's verified handwriting at all, and a few looked like they'd been copied and pasted straight from older files. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Each time after an artist passed away, control of their posthumous catalog quietly shifted toward the same streaming entity, always under the banner of exclusive access and artist empowerment. But when you connect the dots, it paints a chilling picture. Tidal wasn't just battling for Prince, it was allegedly testing a system that could lock in ownership of music from deceased or inactive artists, claiming the deals had been finalized while they were still alive. It was the perfect illusion. Make it look official, make it look ethical, while turning priceless catalogs into permanent digital assets. And since most of these estates didn't have the money or legal firepower to fight back, the truth stayed buried. The media kept moving to the next story before anyone could expose what was really happening. And those who did speak up, they paid a price. Londell McMillan's name got dragged through headline after headline, portrayed as greedy, bitter, or chasing clout. Stories painted him as the villain, twisting the same narrative he'd been fighting to correct. Then there was Phaedra Ellis Lampkins, Prince's former representative who had initially stood by the estate. She suddenly pulled back from the spotlight completely. Friends say she confided that she'd been hit with legal pressure from multiple sides, the kind that makes people disappear quietly rather than speak again. Even inside Prince's estate, some family members began stepping away, scared of the ballooning legal costs and the whispered warnings circulating through the industry. Back off or be buried in court. By the time the first round of hearings ended, the story had been flipped upside down. Jay-Z, once accused of manipulation, was now being painted as the misunderstood genius, the visionary entrepreneur just trying to protect
And this
art.
is where I think the whole fallout with the Beyoncé, she's just kind of in the crosshairs because of all of what's going on in the media with respect to Jay-Z and stuff. But with Jay, you know, when he complained at the Grammys about the Grammys not giving Beyoncé Artist of the Year, when she's the most decorated Grammy-winning artist ever, we invited him to be honored at our award show.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Prince's defenders were labeled as greedy heirs chasing money. It was a total reversal, a masterclass in narrative control. The empire Prince had tried to expose had not only survived, it had rewritten the ending. While the dust was still settling around Prince's case, new whispers started spreading, and they pointed to the same business tactics being used on other big names. In 2023, a former Roc Nation associate went on a podcast and claimed that similar contract adjustments had been made when negotiating streaming rights for other high-value catalogs, including artists who had passed under mysterious or sudden circumstances. None of these claims have been proven, but the parallels are chilling. Everything lines up almost perfectly with what Prince's estate had uncovered years earlier. One attorney close to the situation even said that every time a musician's estate tried to question shady paperwork, they ran straight into the same brick wall. The common interest doctrine. The same legal shield that buried Prince's truth seemed to be protecting others too. And the deeper you look, the more the web spreads. Jay-Z and Beyoncé's empire has always been built on airtight image control. Every rumor crushed, every leak plugged, every narrative flipped before it could catch fire. It's an operation that runs with precision, and money isn't the only thing it protects. When insiders like Jaguar Wright spoke out about predatory control behind the scenes, they were branded unstable and silenced. When respected songwriters like Tiffany Red called out Beyoncé's team for using NDAS to muzzle creators, the media barely blinked. Every accusation got swept aside, dismissed as drama instead of danger. But now, when you connect those dots back to Prince, those stories don't sound like random gossip anymore. They start to look like puzzle pieces in a much bigger picture, a network of influence built to protect power, shape narratives, and quietly erase anyone who threatens the system. It's the same shadow Prince warned us about, the one he said was hiding behind the promise of freedom and ownership. And if these whispers are even halfway true, it means his fight wasn't just for his music. It was a warning for every artist who dares to take control of their own legacy. We've watched the puzzle come together, the lawsuits, the missing files, the vanishing witnesses, and somehow every single thread leads right back to the same place. A streaming empire that claimed to free artists but ended up owning them instead. And standing at the center, two of the most powerful icons in music, protecting a legacy that depends on keeping certain questions buried forever. Even now, as the estate's lawsuits crawl through the courts, the pattern stays the same. Critical evidence lost, witnesses suddenly retracting statements, archives mysteriously corrupted. Too many coincidences to ignore. Maybe that's why the industry still whispers about what Prince really discovered in those final days. He wasn't just fighting for his catalog, he was exposing a system designed to outlive its victims. The files that vanished could have blown everything open, but somebody made sure those records never saw daylight. And now, every time another artist's estate reports missing paperwork or unexplained rights transfers, the same question comes up: whose fingerprints are on it this time? Prince wasn't the first artist Jay-Z's circle crossed paths with. And if history repeats, he definitely won't be the last. The deeper this story goes, the clearer it becomes. This isn't about music anymore. It's about control, about who gets remembered and who gets erased. So here's the real question. How many careers have been quietly dismantled by this machine? And how many more will disappear before someone finally stands up and stops it? Tell us what you think. Was this all coincidence? Or the true cost of challenging power in an industry built on silence? Drop your theories in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Stay curious, stay awake, and remember, in the music business, the loudest silence often hides the darkest truth.